Welcome everyone to our CM Sites blog. This installment, we're talking about the importance of CM training with Conrad Baranowski. Welcome, Conrad.
Hello, everybody.
Really quick about CMstat. We've been in business since the late 80s, providing COTS, configuration management, and data deliverables management software solutions, as well as other services. Our focus is to help our customers implement processes that are aligned with industry standards and best practices. And we also perform business process evaluations, CM plan reviews, and creation, and we have other specialized training and consulting that we can do as well. My name is Lisa Fenwick. I'm the Vice President of Product Development here at CMstat. I've been with the company since 1995 and have been fortunate enough to wear many hats during that time. I've had many flavors of CM and data management training as well. And most recently, I've begun teaching the CM Assessor course for CM PIC. Now I'd like to turn it over to Conrad Baranowski to introduce himself and tell you a little bit about his background and experience in CM. Conrad?
Hi, I'm Conrad Baranowski, and I had 50 years of experience in engineering and CM. I started in engineering the first part of my life with Raytheon, and then eventually switched over to configuration management and eventually configuration management. I do hold a certification by NDIA in configuration management and data management, and I do some consulting now and then.
So, Conrad, talk to us a little bit about how you gained your CM knowledge. I think your path was pretty similar to mine.
Well, most of my CM knowledge was gained as an engineer when you have to release your documentation for design. I got an understanding by doing a lot of reading, and those back then it was probably Mill Standard 480, 483, and 482, and then eventually the 490. With a good understanding of the requirements for CM, it made my life easier in releasing my documentation to a CM person. And that's how I obtained my knowledge.
Great. I think you were a rare engineer to gather the standards and do that kind of research on your own. But that's exactly what you have to do if there isn't any formal training that's available to you. And back then, there wasn't a lot of option for that, I think. Now, also talk to me about when your NDIA certification came into play.
Oh, that was an interesting aspect of my career. It was towards the end of my career, and I was sent out to take the NDIA course that day and then try to get certified. And when I arrived, the instructor asked where was my partner. My study partner, I said, I didn't have any. And he said, well, most people that pass this course require a study partner. But I spent the day listening to all the instruction, and I took the test. And of course, I passed my CM management level and data management level successfully.
So all that reading paid off.
I guess all the reading of all those standards, including the software, there was quite a few software standards I read, helped me to pass those tests in CM, software CM, and data management.
Right. And I had a similar start. I was doing engineering and putting ECPs together and trying to get them through CCB. And I didn't have formal CM training, but I did have a person I worked with who was a great mentor and explained to me the bigger world that I was really working in that I didn't realize at the time. So I think many people get their start that way. And one of the things we're talking about today is how we can make that easier through CM training and providing training to people. So that is our topic for today. It came out of our recent blog, the lessons learned from implementing configuration management. And in our work with our customers in implementing CM, uh, one of the things that we've really noticed is that there's a lack of CM training. There's a lack of actual training on the day-to-day processes, and there's even a lack of formal training for the person who's responsible for CM at times. And the training itself is rarely funded properly, and that's a big contributing factor to having trouble getting CM implemented. So that's where we came to this talk today. Now, the types of training that we're talking about, there are many different types. So not just training the process itself that a person has to go through to write a CM plan, for example, but for example, training the configuration manager, getting them professional certification in CM and getting them that background. Then we're also talking about training the organization management in the breadth and the depth of CM and what the value of CM is to that organization. And so they have the same view that a trained CM manager does and that the standards talk about as far as the value of CM and all of the things that fall under that umbrella. And then of course, that's all in addition to the things that people would expect to be training, which would be the day-to-day tasks and maybe an understanding of the overall goals of CM for the people doing the work. So, Conrad, talk to me about what you have seen as far as why is it important for a CM manager to have formal training?
I think he has to communicate the ways of a program needs to be implemented on an environment and so forth. And that level of knowledge through training helps him to develop in a very, not a mundane CM plan, but a very efficient CM plan. And he can communicate that in the CM plan to all within that environment.
I agree. Communication is one of the main benefits of configuration management. Communicating to everyone involved in the product management itself, from management to customers to engineering to quality, and having all of those different pieces understood fully. There's really it's difficult to get, like you illustrated before, talking about how you got your CM knowledge. You've got to go seek out the standards and read through everything and interpret it for yourself. And then sometimes that's a difficult thing to do. So, I agree. And there are companies out there that provide professional CM training and certification. And if you'd like any information on that, you can contact us as well. And that information will be at the end of the presentation. So implementing CM, one of the things that I ask myself over and over again is, why is CM training so often overlooked, and why is it not given more importance? What I have seen is that in some cases, ISO certification is required in order for a company to do business, and that flows down to quality requirements and a quality management system, and that takes precedence. It's probably, it's just given the headlines, if you will. And so that's one of the reasons that CM training is so often overlooked, and that even if they have a formal QMS system, they might not have CM training for those reasons. And that third bullet down there, though, is really the thing I would like to ask you, Conrad. And how does training ensure that you're going to have a successful CM implementation?
Well, you communicate the ways that you're going to implement CM or the requirements for that particular program. And that's key, so that everybody understands that, and the customer, or if you have a customer, understands that also. So it's very key to make sure that you apply those implementation across the program or the environment. It's key to have a successful program or a successful environment in which you work.
And that's a really good point, that the requirements for the product and the environment that you're working in is going to change what's the most important to you as far as how CM is going to be implemented. And it has to be tailored to that environment in order to be valid training and in order to give you the most benefit. I think another piece of it that I like about CM training is that you get the chance to dispel the myths. Sometimes people think it's only change management. Sometimes people think that they should only put release data into their CM database, and that there's certainly, you get the chance to educate them that there is a place for developmental data in that CM database as well, and things can be handled in a more appropriate kind of process. All right, so this is just a very quick dive into the idea of training and what how it's going to benefit an implementation. There are a lot of questions here and also in our other blog that if these are questions that you need answered, it's very likely that CM training is the answer and the way to get those things resolved. We are going to continue to talk about this and other topics in our future blogs. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Conrad for joining us today and lending his experience to our conversation. So thank you, Conrad.
You're welcome.
And if you'd like to subscribe to our blog, the link is down here below. And until next time, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.